What's up guys, this is Balázs from RacingBrick. The 42151 Bugatti Bolide set finally arrived and I can now share my detailed building review about it. You could already see my preview based on the first photos, here is the real deal now. The box should be familiar by now, we have the black and yellow car on the front with all the logos. The one that is still kind of an unsolved mystery is the CSR Racing logo here in the corner. It's a mobile racing game and I really wonder what the connection is with the LEGO set. On the back of the box we can see the real car in the same livery with some specs and some highlights of the features that you want to see live, I assume, rather than here. There's one particular detail though that is worth to mention, this small image in the corner with the dimensions. Can you see something unusual? Yes, this version has more stickers. There are carbon fiber stickers on a few side panels that are otherwise not present on any other photos. Interestingly, this photo cannot be found on LEGO.com, there's another side view there, but I managed to find it at some retailers in a slightly bigger version. Here's the official, well, let's say final side view and the one from the box with the dimensions. The first thing you can notice is the lack of carbon fiber stickers I mentioned, but the CSR logo is also different. We get a simple CSR sticker on the box, but this one says CSR 3. I'm not a hardcore mobile gamer, very far from it, but according to the information I could find, the second version of this game was released in 2016, but nothing is confirmed yet about version 3. I really wonder if CSR is mentioned anywhere in the manual, but if not, then I will have a theory to share with you. This is the last funny thing about this image and then I promise I will open the box. As you can see, all new parts seem to be still 3D printed and have a somewhat rough surface, and all prints are still stickers, so this was definitely some kind of a prototype. Look at all these panels here and here, this one is supposed to be a print, and these ones here as well. Okay, it's really time to look into the box now, let's open it. There are 4 numbered bags inside, the manual and the sticker sheet that has quite a few stickers, I'm sure you guys will love it. The manual has exactly 0 extra information at the beginning, which is a huge miss I think. Such branded cars would deserve at least 1 extra page of information or something, regardless of the size or the price tag, they should be able to fit in that licensing deal I think. The end is more generous, the shots from the rear of the box are repeated with the features, then we get a side-by-side view with the real deal, and then another bonus side-by-side double page. Well, too bad the perspectives don't match here to be able to compare the authenticity of the rear of the car. Here is the part list if you are into these things. You can check the bigger version in my blog post. There's also a full list of the new parts and new part IDs I could identify. I will highlight all of them during the building process as well. As you could see, there's nothing about CSR Racing in the manual either, nor in the description on LEGO.com, so here's my theory. The car was originally meant to be released together with CSR Racing 3, but the game either got delayed or the LEGO set was decided to be released sooner. They kept the more generic branding since the licensing deal was already done, but that's all at the moment. If the new game will be released, then this car might show up in it, I guess. Now let's start building. Here's the chassis so far after a few steps, nothing special yet. First gears here, I guess these are part of the hand of God steering, then the first stickers to apply, and honestly, these are some quite challenging ones on the seat. Then a tricky move, first we need to push the axle and the connector down, then fold this rear section up to be able to connect with the seat. A funny little detail, the carbon fiber pattern of this sticker seems to be completely black, but it's not, but it's barely visible. We have both seats and the hand of God steering knob, now to the exciting section, the engine. Did you know that this thin 1x2 lift arm didn't exist yet in yellow? Yeah, me neither, but I don't really build construction machines, I guess I would have known them. A surprising comeback, these cam pieces are again used as intended on the camshaft, something that we did not really see in Technic vehicles for some time, apart from the excellent small motorcycle set in 2022. Now this is awesome. Here you have 8 small cylinders for one side, but how long will this engine be? Well, let's fold this section back, now it makes much more sense, especially if we connect it to the core of the engine. Let's build the other 8 cylinders, then attach these as well, and here we are, the tiny W16 Bugatti engine, and you can see all those pistons running. It might not be super accurate of course, but I think it is very much respectable to see it being actually built in a car at this size. And before someone starts to complain and ask for the proper pistons, this is how big that would be. Here is the W16 engine with standard elements in the Chiron for size comparison. And now let's test the engine quickly just to see how it runs. Okay, we had enough fun already, let's put it in place. A few pieces to the other side as well, and this is the end of phase 1. Here comes the rear axle. Make sure to pay attention to the position of this gear here. It's a bit challenging to put it in place, and as you see, we don't have a differential this time. There's one weird thing, however, in the McLaren Senna, which is a very similar set, and I will show them side by side when we are ready. So in this set, the engine is only connected to one of the rear wheels to make sure the lack of differential does not cause problems. Will the single rear axle be a problem here? We will see. We add this assembly to the rear, then start to build a side on the chassis. Don't worry, all these red pins will be covered here. Talking about red pins, these pieces appear in more and more sets in red, and they are heavily used in this set as well, providing a clever way of stabilizing pin connections. This is the dashboard, by the way, with the steering wheel, and here is the 1x1 printed tile with the Bugatti logo, the exact same piece that we had on the Chiron a few years ago. Some system pieces with stickers. This one seems to be an impression of the Circuit Paul Ricard in France, where the original Bugatti Bolide was tested and photographed, although I don't think it would show an exact spot on the real track. Here comes the front axle, and with this gear and axle added, the steering also works. Here's the new number 7 small panel fairing, or shall I call it the tiny one? Here's the previous small panel fairing for comparison. The new one is really way smaller. Another interesting thing to mention here is the appearance of the black 2-module long axle. So far in the build we only had red ones, and quite a few of them. We will get back to this later, but I'm sure this will make some people happy. And with this assembly added, we are at the end of phase 2. The next bag is literally full of new panels. These are the ones we had previously, and these are all new here. These two with numbers 62 and 63 are not that frequent either, only being used in the Ferrari Daytona so far. So we have the new tiny number 7 and 8 panels in yellow as well, then this brand new angled one with number 3 in both black and yellow, and then these ones with number 9 and 10, apparently a scaled down version of these to fit the curvature of the smaller regular panels like this one. So what do we build with all these? The splitter is taking shape here, then comes a nice little assembly with these short axles in black again. I have to remind you that the hidden ones are still red, and here's the highlight of the set, the Bugatti branded toilet paper roll piece. The construction is taking shape, we have quite a lot of surfaces and angles here. I'm actually quite amazed by the level of detail and complexity achievable with the new small panel fairings, very impressive. These new panels also fit nicely with this modified curved lift arm introduced last year. Here's the CSR logo, as you see without the number 3 as we discussed. Some details added with system pieces, then we have a few funky angles here. And something we see quite rarely, a LEGO sticker on a Technic vehicle. Half beams are used quite frequently in this set to add as much detail as possible, and we have some challenging connections here and there. Here are the engine cover panels, and the pattern of the stickers is only very barely visible in the manual. This is the end of phase 3. A slightly unusual connection in Technic builds, the 1x1 tube with the half pin is held in place by these rods. This assembly looks super cool and futuristic. I wonder how stable it will be once it is in place. Well, those weren't the last futuristic elements for sure, and we keep adding details with rods. And here's something else that is unusual. We need to apply 2 separate stickers to this rather small angled panel. Doesn't this remind you of a crossbow? Here comes the door that is rather small but still quite complex, and as you see, it works nicely. After a few small panels, it's time to add the new yellow suspension arms to the front assembly. And now comes the brand new 9-module long mudguard panel piece. This is visibly smaller than the 30-module long one from the Ferrari 488 or the Batmobile. The flex axles for the A-pillars need some alignment, and then we have yet another challenging round with tiny stickers. We need to add 8 of them to these L-shaped pieces. Definitely not my favorite part of the build. Okay, it's actually getting worse. But the end result looks pretty dope. These 30 by 40mm rims were only released in this color in a single Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles set in 2014. It's nice to see them coming back. Last round of stickers with the wheel covers. Be careful as they are not all the same. And here's the car in its full glory. We are finished. I have to say that I totally love the black and yellow color scheme. I think it fits the car perfectly. The bolide is most frequently shown in blue, but there are some other color variations as well, and I think the yellow was a great choice. I know some people would prefer the blue version, but the McLaren was blue as well, so it made more sense to use a new flashy color. We don't have that many yellow pieces, by the way. Their color seems to be consistent except for these suspension arms. These seems to be more translucent than the other pieces. Talking about color consistency, stickers are okay this time thanks to the black background used on most of them. Yellow is also fine. There's one thing standing out, and that is the yellow print on this piece. It is visibly less vibrant than the pieces or the stickers, and that's a shame. There are no brick-built headlights this time, but considering how the real ones are completely integrated into that panel, I think the printed version is totally fine. Now let's see the functions. We have hand-of-God steering with the knob here on the top. It works as expected. The doors can be opened. The hinge is quite similar to the solution we've seen on the Senna. There's one difference though, and it has a negative impact. On the McLaren, this piece faces inwards, so it goes down when we open the door. On the Bugatti, however, it is the other way around, so it also swivels up. I think you can see the issue. As you open the door, it can touch the A-pillar. The problem is with the flexibility of the whole dashboard. As you push the door up, you also pull the whole assembly. If I push it down, then you can see that the door is supposed to be able to open without a problem in theory, but the practice is unfortunately different. The W16 engine works fine at the rear. The panels can be lifted slightly to take a better look at it, but not fully. How about the lack of differential and the single rear axle? If I compare the two cars, their rolling resistance seems to be almost the same when they go straight. The Bugatti needs just a little bit more power, but I think that's the resistance of the complex engine. The difference becomes more significant though when we try to turn the car. You can clearly feel the drag of the rear wheels. Their speed should be different when the car turns, but they are connected directly, so there's a resistance coming from one of them. I think the solution of the Senna was technically better. Only one of the wheels was connected with the engine. It had some downside though. Due to the available color-coded cross axles, their color was different on the two sides. The Bugatti's colors are definitely more consistent, but for a slight cost. Well, don't get me wrong, the car is perfectly playable. You can simply feel the difference comparing these two cars. Talking about the look and the color of the pieces, I think the endless complaints of the monochrome squad were clearly listened this time. Red 2-module long axles are only used at non-visible spots. We have black ones everywhere else. I think that's a huge shift in approach for a $50 set. We could only see such attention to detail in a completely different league. I know, nothing is perfect. Blue pins are here to stay, but those simply don't have a black equivalent in the current lineup. They would also make the building process super annoying. Even having this amount of similar black pins and axles made the building noticeably longer. If we ignore the blue pins, I found two areas where I cannot explain really the part usage. One is here with the red piece sticking out. I don't think that is actually necessary. You can simply replace that with a black pin. The dashboard will be still held in place properly. The other area is here at the front. This one is so different and out of place. I have to think it was intentional to have something to complain about. These red axle pins could be easily replaced with dark bleach grey ones. They are in production, not a perfect match, but blends in way better than the red ones. Honestly, it would even work with these black ones, as the middle layer is also connected to other pieces. Then it's even more consistent with the color scheme. The front section is a bit more wobbly with these, as the black pin does not seem to hold the panels that securely, but it might be a good compromise for the look. Anyway, these are easy fixes to make, otherwise I really like the look. I'm sure people will find many differences between this model and the real car, but I think we need to consider two things: the size of the car and the fact that it is Technic. No one should expect the level of detail of the 1/8 scale supercars, not even the 1/10 scale series. I think the designer did a decent job, the lines flow nicely, and with all the different new panels it is quite coherent and still exciting. The build is pretty solid, by the way. The only thing that moves around too much is the rear diffuser. You need to spend some time at the fronts to align the pieces properly though. If you push these two small beams forward, then you can mess up the hood. So let's sum it up. I really like this scale in Technic. Cars already have quite a lot of details and also actual Technic features. They are still playable and the price is also good. This build was quite interesting with some cool techniques, and there are lots of new parts included. And most importantly, it fits on the car transporter. I also appreciate the effort to make the look more consistent with the new part usage. There are a few rough details like the door mechanism or the red pins at the front, but my overall impression is certainly very positive. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments, folks. How do you like the car? Are you planning to buy it? Let's talk about it. If you like this video, then please give it a thumbs up. I also suggest to subscribe with notifications, as more exciting LEGO videos are coming soon. See you next time. Bye bye.